gentlemen, it's the greatest YouTuber of all time. Nostalgia. Bong hits. We're back. We're back with another one. And your wife says, honey, the gold prices have been going down. Pokemon cards haven't really moved. I think it's time to liquidate. What do you do? And today we're going to talk about that. Why a lot of the time relationships are the enemy of growth. No, today's discussion is if you had to sell something, what would it be? Sometimes I wonder that, we all get attached to our stuff, but man, and I started to look at a couple trends the other night, and I figured this would make for a good video for my Pokemon fans out there. Man, if I were to sell something, what would it be actually? And what Kim Kardashian has now done for Team Up. A lot of big news on the channel actually today. We're going to cover it all. So let's start off with, man, there's so much. What would I sell first? Man, that's a tough choice. That really is. If I had to sell something. Well, there'd probably be a bunch of my prismatic shit and my 151 that's already went up. That would probably be my first things I would sell if I actually needed money. But going over stuff I wouldn't sell, and this is the important video I wanted to talk about, is stuff like this. My 420 cert sets and my sequential sets of PSA 10 cards. Something like this to me is honestly priceless. And I know no one will appreciate this sequential set as much as I truly do. That I value this probably more than any other person in the world. And I'll explain why. And, well, people were arguing if 420 certs matter or not. Smart money was already buying this stuff up last year. And I'll explain what I mean by that. Is with 420 certs, the public was arguing, do they add value to a card or not? Of course they do. Of course they do. And in my opinion, PSA will always be the main source of grading. Now, what really counts with a PSA 10, though, and why I think these cards are even more rare than black labels, if you get a 420 cert, it is so difficult to get the cert number to be 420. The odds of it happening are just so fucking extravagantly low that while people were arguing over do 420 certs actually matter, smart money was buying this shit up last year, if not 2 years ago, when the argument was still there. Now it's kind of a different story. Very rarely, if you go on eBay, you will almost never find a 420 cert card. If this card was not 420 cert, I wouldn't even care about it. And if this wasn't 421 and 422, I wouldn't even care that much. But the fact that they are 420 and 421 and 422, and they're all in Beckett-worthy condition, that's the most important thing. Because honestly, my Gengar is pretty much a good PSA 10, but there's a tiny little spot down there. And I mean, it's nothing crazy, but these three that are in this 420 set are absolutely perfect. I mean, I think these would cross over all to BGS 10s. No problem. But I would rather have them in PSA form like this, because I wouldn't want to cross them over to Beckett, because the odds of getting 420, first of all, just getting 420 on this card is next to impossible. You could send in a copy 1,000 times over and still not get it. And then to get another like beautiful chase card in 421 and then 422 is just like a pipe dream. The chances of it happening, one in a billion. Even more rare than getting a black label 10, honestly. Like getting, and people have this argument was like if this is important or not, and while people were arguing about it, the price tags sure were very important. There's only ever been like a few registered 420 cards come to market, and there were 2 Magic cards from Paldea Evolved that sold, apparently, I think one sold for like 17 grand. This was like 2 years ago, and I've never seen another one on the market again. And there was also a Shining Fates 420 Charizard, and the guy wanted 18 grand, and it sat on the internet for about a few weeks, and then it was just mysteriously either either they gave up and didn't sell it, or it might have actually sold for that crazy chunk of money. But like smart money was buying this kind of stuff up when people didn't think it was even worth extra money. And in my opinion, it is definitely worth extra money. If not, honestly, in my opinion, it's worth like 10 times extra money, especially if the card is actually a real PSA 10. Not only a PSA 10, but a very mint PSA 10 that is black label condition. That just adds to the scarcity, in my opinion. And during the period when these 3 cards were graded, was PSA at its peak, in my opinion, and all 3 are just absolutely gem mint 10 perfect. That I would probably bet 20 grand myself that all 3 of these would cross over to Beckett black labels, if need be. So that's why I bought them. And yeah, and even though the price of the regular Greninja has went down a little bit, it's still a pretty strong card. But the 420 Greninja, you'll never see it again. You'll never see another one of these ever again on the market. I can fucking guarantee it. You'll never see this card ever again. And if you let something like this go out of your collection because your wife wants it gone, you're making a huge mistake. You're making a huge mistake ever passing up a 420 cert chase card if you find it at anywhere near market price. Even double market price, in my opinion, is honestly worth it. Just because it's so hard to find, it's so hard to make happen, and it's an incredible piece to add to your collection, and that should be one of the last things you ever want to sell. Even though usually PSA 10 cards are the first thing people do tend to sell if they need money, but sequential sets and especially 420 certs are just like you don't see them. You just don't see them. Like I said, so I've seen this just Shining Fates Charizard, which in my opinion is not even close to as good as the Greninja. And a guy wanted 18,000 for it. And like I said, I don't know if it sold or not. I doubt it did for that price. But it might have. Because literally every 420 cert card I've ever seen, and trust me, there's not many of them. Like, when you think about it, out of all Pokemon, how many 420 certs have you actually seen? And that's where they do actually start to become really rare. And especially in Beckett, if you get like a black label card that ends in 420, it is just like incredibly rare, and just an extreme anomaly that smart money has been buying this kind of stuff up. Well, people bickered about if it's worth it or not. Smart money just said fuck it and bought it, and that was the right move to do, in my opinion. Because you really just don't see it. And I've seen thousands of Greninjas. I've never seen one ending in 420. And it's just so unique compared to the card itself. And I think Smart Money has realized this because, like I said, I've not seen any 420 ending cards enter the market anymore. And when it did, it was just that one Shining Fates Charizard. And like I said, the guy wanted a fortune for it, $18,000. And meanwhile, 2 years ago, I bought this for, I don't even know. Like, I think I bought the whole set for like $2,500 or something like that. Like, I got this set on a bargain. And it's truly a part of my collection. I would sell last. Because I know no one would appreciate this like I do. And in my opinion, I probably wouldn't let it go for 20,000. I probably, and I know that sounds crazy to people, and I'll probably get some slack in the comments about it, but like to me, it's just worth that because I mean, all these cards are absolutely mint, and where else are you going to find this? Go find it somewhere else. You know what I mean? It's just that type of scarcity where it really is just like, go find it somewhere else, you know, and you just won't. And that's the thing. And that's why I would just never get rid of it, even though it would be the absolute worst thing to ever sell off in a panic because you would just get a fraction of what it's worth compared to just having it and waiting for the market to really wake up and appreciate how truly rare 420 certs are and how very rarely they come by. And I think eventually the market will realize that of how special and unique these cards truly are that do have PSA 10 420 certs. And then if you have a nice sequential set with it on top of it, it's just that much more unique. And like I said, even more rare than black labels, in my opinion, because it's a lot easier to actually get a black label. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of black labels that float around, but there's maybe like 30 cards that end in 420, and they don't even float around. You know, like there's none that float around. Through my experience in Pokemon, I never see them for sale, and when I do, they are just tremendously expensive. That you thank your lucky stars for buying them when they were cheap, and it's one of those things where people will bicker about it. And in a few years, people will really realize how difficult it is to get 420 certs on their cards and also have them in just perfect condition as well. And this truly is a remarkable set that I was able to get and have all the cards be true, very strong PSA 10s that going over all three of them. I mean, there is just absolutely nothing wrong with all three of them. That these were very, very strong examples. And I mean, a Lugia Black Label alone is around 15,000. And to just have a PSA 10 copy that is absolutely beautiful and to be part of a 420 sequential set, like, to me, is just priceless. It truly is. And, you know, just same with the Ninja. Just such a beautiful card. But hitting the 420 on it is just like, oh, so extremely rare. I've never seen another one. And I look daily. I check the market daily to see if any float around, if there's another one. Do I have the only one? And I know for certain I have the only one in the world. And you almost just can't even put a price on that, man. If you're a real collector. And I think one day people will wake up and realize how rare 420 certs are, and that they don't come by very often. And the other thing is getting a PSA 10, because I mean you can get a 420 cert and it'd be a 9, and it's like they don't come around very often. And you can go on eBay and start scouring the market and just see it for yourself. There are just literally none for sale at any price. That it's not even an available thing that you can buy, which is incredible to me because, like I said, I've seen a few 420 cert cards a couple years ago, and now there's just none on the market. That it's like Smart Money has literally scrubbed them off the market and hid them away. until people are smart enough to see it, I guess. It's like revealing the light to people, really. But yeah, very interesting topic today. Next, I want to talk about how Kim Kardashian pumped my team up bags. She looked at a Lovebirds yesterday or a couple days ago, Beckett Black Label, and it was $100,000, and she just like turned away. It's crazy how a celebrity, they just like, oh, 100K for a car, man, fuck that. Let's turn around, honey. And it's like us Pokemon freaks. We're like, I kind of want to buy that bitch. Where do I get the 100K? But hearing that news that there's $100,000 card in Team Up in a Black Label it should send that set to the moon. It really should, because Holland Phantoms. As soon as the Pikachu from Holland Phantoms was found out to be a $120,000 card in a 10, now it's around $150,000. Holland Phantom shot up from a $30,000, $40,000 booster box, clear up to a $140,000 booster box. With Team Up, the Lovebirds now granted, Holland Phantoms, the Pikachu, a Beckett Black Label would be disgusting at this point. It would probably be a $400,000 or $500,000 card plus. So Holland Phantom's still a way better set than Team Up, but it's also a lot older, a lot more unique and rare. But Team Up at the same time, very good mid-era set, and a very strong set. And the Team Up booster boxes are sitting between 12 and 13,000 right now. And hearing the news that there is a possibility of pulling the Lovebirds, grading it with Beckett, and having $100,000 should really drive the price of the booster box up to maybe not like $100,000, but it should drive the price up to, I would say, a solid 20 or 30K. That should be a strong thing for Team Up and Team Up booster box holders and EZB holders. I've always said Team Up was underrated, and the Kim Kardashian shit might be the corny, but the driving force to really show, to showcase how good the Lovebirds actually are as a card, and how unique they are, and how fucking expensive a Beckett 10 is, which is insane. Because, honestly, most PSA 10s are like just as crisp. I mean, if you really check your PSA 10s over very carefully, like I've done with all the PSA 10s I've ever bought, a lot of them really are just as clean as Beckett's. Like I could go through a list of cards that I have that are literally just as perfect as a Beckett Black Label would be. But being able to tell the difference, it really is important with PSA slabs, is being able to tell what really is a true PSA 10 and what's not. And there definitely are major differences. And that's why every time I do buy PSA 10s, I really check the cards over, just to make sure they are exactly perfect. And that's a very important thing to do with all of your cards that you ever buy. But that's why, like, to me, this is so much more rarer than having Black Labels, is because a 420 sequential set, all in absolutely perfect condition. And like, to me, I value that more than most people would. And like I said, I couldn't even gauge a value on those right now. But to me, they're priceless, and that money couldn't even replace it. Like, if that got burnt in a fire, I would never get it again. And that's the sad part. Something ever happened to that, I would never get it again. Would never find it again. And there's just certain things like that, to me, that are priceless. To other people, they may not even give a shit. But it doesn't matter if you give a shit. It matters of the people with money, if they give a shit. And they clearly do, because they're not selling, and they have scrubbed all the 420, the few 420 cards that do exist off the market, and they are not re-entering the market anytime soon, from what I see at least. And most people don't notice this kind of stuff, but I definitely do. And if you are at a show and you see 420 cert cards, and they don't want that much more money for them, you should, and they're a chase card, you should just buy them. That's always been my logic, is if I ever see them and they're not like, there's not a premium on them, I'm buying it all day of the week. I don't even care what card it is. I could hate the card and I would still buy it, just because I know how difficult it truly is. And like I said, you have like a 1 in a million chance of grading a PSA 10 and to get a 420 cert. Like, it is just so extremely fucking difficult that I don't think people really can grasp that those should have like a 20x premium on them. Like, and in some cases, they really do have a 10 to 20x premium. And the Shining Face Charizard I seen was kind of that 18x premium. You know, it was $100. Well, no, way more than that actually. It was $100 card, $200 card to PSA 10, and they wanted 18K. So do the math on that. And like I said, I don't know if it's sold or not, but I've just not seen it on the market. And if you had a partner, this would be some of the first stuff they'd want you to sell off. And this is just the type of stuff that it's like, as a kid or adult, you just keep it in your collection. No matter what prices do, if they go up or down or sideways, this is just something you just cannot replace for any amount of money, because there's just no other ones that exist. You can't buy them. You just can't. And that's why I've always been very serious of, even though I'm more into like metals kind of now, I still do always check the market to see if there are 420 cards for sale, and I still keep an eye out, but I never see them anymore. They're literally just scrubbed to the market. So something to take seriously while people bicker about it, and laugh about the start numbers. They don't mean anything to me. Well, they don't mean anything to you, but they definitely mean something to anyone that knows what's up, and clearly. Or they would be all over the market, very reasonably priced, and they're just not. So, something to take into consideration, something to look out for, and at least have the knowledge to look out for it yourself. And, yeah. So, the next thing was silver and gold. Oil being $100 a barrel. It's obviously going to be way more expensive to dig for silver and gold. And this is part of the formation I was talking about, that it seems to really all be falling in place for silver, that to see the price be $120 before all this, before higher oil, before war, before negative 92,000 job numbers, it really does seem like we're just gearing up for something crazy. And I hope a lot of you financially can hold out long enough, because I've been seeing a lot of silver stackers that just can't. They need money now, and they probably shouldn't have bought if they had money issues, and they're pissed because the price is down right now, and they probably got to sell off some. And it's one of those things where you really shouldn't have bought it unless you can just leave your money parked in it long term and see what happens. And I hope people can hold out until places are begging you for your silver, because I think it will eventually happen. All the fundamentals are still there. Nothing has went away. And I truly don't believe it's the end for silver, because just before gas prices were high, it cost around, like, people have this like thing of it costs $20 an ounce to make silver. It costs more than that, folks. It costs $20 if you have your own like mine and you're walking down there yourself and digging an ounce out, maybe, but it really realistically costs close to $40 an ounce to really mine silver. And you have to own the physical mine yourself, too, which is another $5 million tied up or more buying an actual piece of property that contains silver and then digging it up yourself is just not a pleasant process. I've watched videos on people doing it before that own their own mine, and they'll still tell you it is such a pain in the ass. And I watched a guy that had a mine, and he said if silver ever goes up, I'm going to start digging it like crazy, because he had it figured out it only cost him around $30 to dig. But this was when gas was cheaper. In my opinion, it costs between 40 and 50 really to make an ounce of silver, and I think the numbers are very skewed on that because they go by all these factors that don't really count in owning a mine, and you have to add that to your costs because you have money tied up in a mine. So that's a lot of shit, man. And we also have a market on eBay where even some of the fake silver that floats around on there sells for $60. So I really think silver's a pretty safe $60 floor. I really highly doubt silver ever goes below 60, and especially during these times. And I just wouldn't want to sell right now. I wouldn't want to be forced to sell right now. And I would be patient because we've seen a crazy bounce from 20 to 120. Imagine a bounce starting at 60. We're talking silver at 180, maybe more. And I just would not count the metal out. It's a very stubborn little fucker. But I wouldn't bet money that you don't have to lose or that you need immediately. So that's just my best advice. I wish you all the best of luck out there. Hang in there, folks. God, is it bad out there. Anyway, that's all we got for this one. Hope you enjoyed it. We're out.